Hey guys, Melon Popper here. Got a new video for you. This one is going to be, there's been a new patch that came out for Assetto Corsa EVO, and it is called the .3 patch. It includes multiplayer, the spa track, and a bunch of other stuff. You can see on the splash screen when you launch the game if you hadn't seen the update yet. And to get that, you need to go to, it's a beta build, so you have to right click on your game, or go to, I'm sorry, library. My library over here. Go to Assetto Corsa EVO if it doesn't say multiplayer beta already. So you right click on it, properties, betas, opt into the beta, and there's a code. I've got the code on my, and you can search Google, you'll find it. It'll come right up, but just search for multiplayer beta .3 Assetto Corsa EVO code, and you'll find it. But I also have it in my Discord, links in the bio. You can click in there and find it as well. But anyway, so I've been adjusting a lot of settings in the Pimax client. Right now I'm showing my whole desktop. Once we get into the game, I'll just show you like the right eye, so it's, you won't see both eyes of the VR, but for now we'll show just the desktop view. So to launch the game, I go in here, but I want to show you some settings I found that's working really good. 90 hertz upscale. I've tried 120. It has ghosting problems. The game refresh rate is not near 120, so there's like a sync problem, and I always see this like this little fine ghosting around all the corners, especially when you're panning left to right, is when VR really has the most trouble with low frame rate. I tried 90 hertz. 90 hertz works good, but I couldn't run high resolution and 90 hertz. I could, but the frame rate wasn't that great. Tried 72. That works pretty well. 90 seemed to be closest to the actual game frame rate and didn't have the strobing. 72 had bad strobing, so it wasn't like that fine ghosting behind it, just this little fine line right behind everything. It was, when you turn left on the tracks, for instance, you'd see the trees just kind of kind of choppy. 90 hertz upscale. Now I tried this setting a long time ago and I didn't like it. It was too blurry. I didn't like it. But here's the rub. Now we have a new sharpening tool. So this is an upscale that's done at the panel. So I recommend trying this, guys. If you've tried it before and hated it, try it again. It might be better for you. So 90 hertz, check that. Go to your games, select Assetto Corsa EVO. I found 84 is a sweet spot. 85 on up is diminishing returns on clarity. On the super far away stuff, yeah, 100% looks better than 85 or 84 in this case, but the frame rate hit is significant, and you start getting that strobing look when you're going around corners. You get down into 45 frames and stuff. So 85, I saw trees kind of hitching a little bit. 84, that went away. So on my particular card, which is a 7800 XTX, or 7900 XTX, and a 9800 X3D CPU with just the 8 cores running. I'm not doing the hyper-thread with all 16, the virtual and all that. So that's my combo. So 84% out of 100% works good. Quad use does not work on AMD cards as far as I know, so don't bother checking that. Everything else is defaults there. And make sure you're using Pimax OpenXR. Everything else, I just undo this chaperone. And make sure you do all your updates in your software and your firmware. So let's go to the game. So this is how I launch it. And probably best to just close and minimize that so it's not. Sometimes when you have an app behind a 3D app, the mouse can get goofed and get between the two and cause problems, so it's just best to minimize that stuff out of the way. Okay, so the frame rate looks real dismal here. It might be because the eyepieces are asleep. When that happens, the frame rate drops to nothing. So I don't know where that is. I'm gonna boat, yo. What the hell is that? That's a weird view in the VR. What's going in here? Okay, so what you're seeing is the left eyepiece and the right eyepiece, and if you notice, it's very subtle, but they're slightly different angles, and that's what gives you the stereoscopic 3D view. So if you're not looking at, you know, two separate lenses right in your face, this is not going to look 3D to you. You're just going to see two different images. So, and for that reason, that's why the frame rate is not, you know, way over 100. So you can see my CPU usage 30%. I'm clocked at 5.4 gigahertz. I've locked all cores to that. I'm on water cooled, so I can do that for extended periods, no problem. GPU about 80%, 63C. RAM's at 18 gig of 24 on the GPU, and 18 gig as well on the system ran out of 32. And that's what the OBS running. I'm not streaming, but I do have some other stuff up. Actually, let me close some of that. So, you know, your mileage may vary. You may get better results out of this very same equipment. But if you go to the game settings, I'm going to keep it in this I'll call this the 2D view because it's a flat panel 2D monitor that we're looking at. And I'll keep it on this view for a minute so you can see all the menu options, because once I crop just to the right for driving, the in-car view, you're going to miss some of the left menu. So that's why I'm showing you both sides right now. So the resolution, when you go to VR, you may have noticed, even though my desktop resolution is normally 3440 by 1440p, when I go in to launch the game in VR, it always reduces the desktop game resolution to this. It doesn't change the desktop resolution, just the game window. So I guess for that reason, you're not, you know, rendering the game a third time. You are, but it's not at high resolution. So anyway, turn off the frame limit. VSync, I turn that off. Let's see. Graphics preset. I usually start with everything at low and then just turn on what I need. What I have found was even at 84%, if you've got a better video card and you can go higher on your Pimax than 84, or a different video card and you can go higher resolution, no matter what resolution I did, even 100% on the Pimax, I still needed 2x multi-sampling. These add blur, these add crisp and get rid of the jaggy. This is the best one, but it costs more. But these are almost useless. They just add a blur on top. So no matter what setting, I recommend a 2x a minimum and 4x on some tracks like Spa that has a lot of white painted lines, stripes across the road and along the sides, a lot of fencing and posts and stuff. Those things can flicker if anti-aliasing is not high enough and cutting out all the jaggies. But this is a frame rate killer. So 2 to 4 max is all I ever recommend. Anisotropic filtering, that is the texture detail. So you can turn a lot of things low, and if the texture the skin wrapped, you know, the paint job wrapped around something is super fine and crisp, you know, the rest of it will look good. So vehicle level level of detail, this is like buildings and trees and stuff. So if you're having pop-in problems, stuff are not showing up for you until you get right on top of them, you can bump that up, but I find that low is acceptable. And vehicle level of detail, I do not find that acceptable to be on low or even medium. I put it on ultra because, especially on the night races, you look in your rearview mirror and you might see lights on the road, but not actually headlights or a car. So it helps to have that on ultra. This is default. I leave that. I turn all these to low. I've cranked these up. Might look slightly better, but it's not worth the frame rate hit at all. You're not looking at the crevices of rocks to see how deep and dark they are. Who needs ambient occlusion when you're racing at 150? You know what I mean? Reflection, it has reflections even on low. That's sufficient. The car's plenty glossy, as you'll see. Shadows, if you firm this up, or if you raise this all the way up, the shadows are going to be sharper. And sharper shadows cause flickers. So I, for that reason, keep it low, because it also, sharper the shadow, the more the frame rate hit. So keep it on low. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Grass density, if you want it to look like somebody just mowed the lawn at the golf course, turn it all the way off. If you want to see a couple pieces of grass here and there, so it kind of looks like a more realistic, like a couple weeds growing here and there, low works better, and it doesn't cost much frame rate at all, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2 at the most. These I turn off. Blur I turned off. Mirrors, I turn mirrors almost all the way up, basically, because I want 2 mirrors and I want them crisp and clear. So when I look behind me, I don't see like a windshield view that's sharp and a mirror view that looks like terrible. That mismatch throws the immersion. My goal here is to get it to sharp as possible with the best frame rate as possible, and that'll give you the best immersion without headaches and fatigue. So those are the in-game graphic settings that are working for me real good. For even for like regular 2D, these will work good, but for VR is what they're really here for. So I think that's all the video settings. I didn't go through all of them, right? Yeah, I think so. So those are the settings that are working real good for me. Those settings in game get me about 70 something frames per second, somewhere in there. And I am using the Oni Speed mod. I've got a video tutorial on that. You may find a video that says something about the VR crop mod gave 40 frames. Well, I am running that. It basically takes the view of your VR and crops it to where you're only looking at, well, basically what's out the window, what you need to see. Your steering wheel and your window view. And so it's not, the video card no longer has to render the roof, the roll bar that's already painted black. You can't see, it's not rendering that banner that's across the window that's painted black. I mean, maybe a little bit of it, but you don't need all. This much of the game is junk. You don't need it. And then underneath your chin, you're really not looking at your kneecaps while you're racing. You're not looking at your footwork. You're looking at the steering wheel and that, So basically I crop it in a way, just a slight crop on the sides, a ton off the top, and a ton off the bottom. So the video card is just rendering this instead of everything. And that's how I can get the frame rate way up to nearly 90. And it look really good. So without further ado, we can go into multiplayer. I think I've shown you all the settings that matter. But certainly if you guys have questions or something I forgot, these are just multiplayer servers. We'll just go into the first one that's got a car I like. I'll just drive around and show you what it looks like. Multiplayer server list. Unfortunately, this particular car I love does not have many servers running the track and class that will allow it. So that's MX5, MX5, MX5. There's a GT2 Fuji. We could probably do the Maserati. Great car. Been tuning on it. You guys are welcome to check out the stream in real time and pay attention. You might see my tuning. You're welcome to copy it and try it out for yourself. I don't really share it and post it and all that because it's a live thing that's always evolving daily. So if you want the latest version of my tune, come watch the stream. Say hello. Give me a follow, like, and a subscribe. While you're at it, that would be nice. Alright, so it's my steering wheel not working. What's up? What's up? What's up? Press some buttons and it's not centering. Let me hit spacebar. Okay, so there's our view. And I can hit, I've bound patrol down arrow and I can turn on the in-game FPS, so I should be able to see with the OpenXR toolkit. OpenXR toolkit is what I use to do the crop. It's called Crop 2 FOV. And I have cropped on the up 7%, on the down 80% is gone. Oh, I'm sorry. What's showing of the up is only 7%. What's showing of the down is 80%. What's showing left is 90. What's showing right is 100. My view is slightly off on left and right, but anyway. So, oh yeah, those are the settings I'm using. But you may want to try something different. So let me go to performance, overlay, FPS. Okay, so I can see now that I'm getting 80. This overlay does not capture for whatever reason. If you're doing Steam VR, it might capture, but so yeah, like 82, 80 something frames with cars in the paddock. That's amazing in VR, and a lot of that. Oh, I gotta show you one of the settings. Oh, sorry, I didn't crop the window yet. Let me show this other setting real quick because I forgot. Shoot, where was it? Oh yeah, the sharpness. This is new. The other setting you need to do is the image quality at 84, and then the GPU upscaling. Don't do that. That looked pretty bad. And sometimes when you click on that, you need to go back to sharpness. It may default it back to 0. So what's been working real good, the combo that's working good, is this. Upscale lab, 90 hertz. That is key. That's the number one thing. 90 hertz upscale lab. That's critical. These other settings are not going to look good. The 90 hertz is the sharpest, but you won't get as good frame rate. The upscale gives you better frame rate. So try that one, but you have to couple it with this at 84 or higher, so it's not blurry. And then you have to go, don't do the GPU upscaling, and go to sharpness and change that, turn that all the way up. You might be able to go run lower and maybe pick up a frame or something, I don't know, but all the way up seems to be working really good for me. That's the combo. And then with the in-game settings, the way I showed you, that's the combo. Oh, that's why my steering wheel wasn't working. You have to hit, well, yeah, it's just working. Shifter's not working. Okay, sometimes my steering wheel does not work. Just do the Alt F4 here, and then I'm going to turn off my steering wheel. If you ever lose connectivity to the game, like if the shifting quits working, just wait a few seconds. A lot of times the Fanatic will automatically resync itself back and pick it back up. But if you lose force feedback, in addition to that, shifting being lost, I've noticed if I lose force feedback, I have to come out of the game, turn off the Fanatic, turn it back on, then fire the game back up from the Pimax. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to change the view from desktop to just show the right eye. And if I've got it cropped correct, I'm basically just going to see the right eye, which is, that way when I'm in the car view, it'll look kind of like you're in there. We'll see if we can find that same race. Sort by car. Is there no track I can get on? They're all locked. Okay, in a different car. Fine. I think we were going to get in the yeah, let's go players. There we go. Fuji, MX5, MX5. Yeah, there's the Fuji GT2. We were going to go with the Maserati. I like the Maserati a lot. There's a couple cars, we could have another video about it, but there's a couple cars, the BMW, the Caterham, I'm having trouble with. Once it starts a slide, like the rear end starts sliding, no amount of counter steer or easing off the throttle or easing on the brake or just lifting, it just keeps sliding. And it doesn't like slow down, it just goes, it just sails, you know, it's like it's got like you raised the sail and it just took off on ice. It's kind of weird. The BMW GT, is it 3? M4 GT3, and the Caterham, I've noticed both of those cars in particular are worse about it than others. And that first T1 turn on Bathurst and the Caterham, dude, the whole lobby spins out on that thing. You got to drive so careful. I don't know if that's by design. To me, it just seems like once a slide starts, if you slow down the car, you slow down the momentum, the rubber will, start grabbing. But in this game, it's like just heats up to instant boiling, and it just becomes a greasy mess you can't counter. Once in a while at super low speed I can counter it, but high speed stuff, nah. Once it goes, it's gone. And that's kind of like a race tire compared to a street tire. Is more forgiving. You feel it losing it, and a real race tire, sometimes it does feel like, hey, I got grip, we're good, and then whoop, you're gone. But you could still counter and kind of keep it out of the wall, maybe. All right, let's load it tune here. So I'm not real happy with that. Maybe they'll fix it. There's a discussion on the Steam group I made about it. So this tune-up, I've got the car where I don't want it to spin, I don't want it to slide. Tire pressure is pretty low. I usually do like 23.5. That seems to be a pretty good starting point. Because once it heats up, it can overheat sometimes, on a hard turn, and it'll balloon up 25, 26, pretty normal. So fuel, I usually put a couple extra in there. I have run out a couple times. And the wheel rate, I usually like the front kind of soft. You guys could try these settings and see what you think, but and I usually go firmer on the rear to help a car rotate. And then I haven't touched the bump stops yet or dampers, but I will eventually, and you guys can check back to see what I came up with on that. But yeah, this car doesn't need much rear wing, just a touch usually is enough. Front, you want all the wing you can get so it'll grip when you turn in abruptly. So this is just kind of a base tune, so it won't be perfect for this particular track, but I guess in the ballpark of where we want to be. That's usually what I do. I usually go with a firmish front end and a softish front end and a firm rear to help a car rotate, kind of like real life. So yeah, here's what we're looking at: 91 frames. Now keep in mind, if you don't do the letterbox or the crop field of view mod, subtract 10-15 frames easily, and this is not going to hold 91 frames at 84% resolution on the Pimax. So yeah, we're in the 70s. Most of the time it's 70s and 80s. Now the paddock area, the pit area, is the worst because all these player models, all these participants and trees and fencing and plumbing and cars, your own car. So that's the worst of it. Usually once you get around other cars, frame rate starts coming up. You can see it's already 84. Let me tell you, 80, really any 60s, 70, 80 frames is wonderful in VR. I know on a 2D flat panel model, a lot of us first-person gamers like 240 hertz and up, but 144 and stuff like that. But in VR, I would love to have that frame rate, but 80 is really good, I'm telling you. It's really clear. It's just a very, very slight ghosting when panning around a tight corner. And if you need more frame rate, I've lowered it down to 75% from 84 to like 75, and it locked at 91% on most tracks, or 91 frames all the time. Excuse my driving. I'm much better if I hadn't been streaming for 4 hours and brain had melted. But I felt it was necessary to finish this video today while it was on my mind. And I've been working on this game for about a week now. Well, ever since the multiplayer patch came out, and trying to get the absolute best sharp clarity and high frame rate. So 80, 74 frames. Yeah, this area it always drops. That's normal. Big building, lots of stuff to render. 72, 70. Still very acceptable for VR. And then quickly we're back up. Yeah, I won't make the video too long, but you can see I can turn around and it's not a stuttering slideshow. It makes you nauseous. For me personally, when the frames get sub 40, that's when I start going, I need a break. I'm feeling kind of nauseous, a little clammy, a little hot. So yeah. But anyway, make sure you guys check out my I've got a Discord channel as well. Pull up the desktop. So that's it there, and you know, it does a little notification. You can click on the different platforms I'm streaming on, so you'll know when I'm streaming. I usually delete these when I'm done with a stream, so it didn't fill the chat with all of that. But and it has some gaming news about some of the games that we play, and you know, some memes and redundancy there. But you know what we're eating. A bunch of people came in yesterday. A bunch of new people. So we've been picking up a lot of people for EVO and some other games we play, and we just kind of hang out in these voice chat while we're playing, and you know, discuss the game. And some people who watch the stream prefer to come and hang out and hear while I'm streaming and listen to me, so they can hear it without a delay, especially if they're racing with me, and then they can hear exactly what's going on in real time. So anyway, you guys are all invited to that. Links in the bio on the videos. It's not hard to find, and you're all welcome to hang out there. And some people get into the audio and they just listen in. They're not going to use the mic, and that's fine. You don't have to use the mic and all that. So yeah, 84%. No GPU upscaling. Make sure when you're done, when you come out of this GPU upscaling, it's very important that you double check the sharpening, because I have had it reset after coming out of GPU scaling twice, and then I hard reset it after it twice, and it seems to be sticking now, but I was afraid it might undo itself, so just be wary of that. So 84%, 100% on the sharpness, and 90 hertz upscale. And then if you want to do the letterbox, the crop mod, that's the OpenXR toolkit companion, and the Oni speed mod. You got to have that as well. I've got a video tutorial on how to set all this up, where to get it, how to install it, how to configure it, how to crop your view, the settings that I use, which I just added in this video, how I set up these settings as well, etc. And if you don't like it, you decide, oh, that letterbox isn't for me, or I got enough GPU, I don't need to do that, you can simply disable it. You don't have to uninstall it. So if you want to revisit it later and try stuff, whatever, but you can uninstall it too. So yeah, kudos to him for making that. And also in other VR news, it's kind of unrelated to this video, but there is an Oasis driver now. So you guys that have HP Reverb G2s and can't find Windows Mixed Reality anymore, I think they took it completely mixed. Yeah, it's totally discontinued. So it's not an app anymore. So anyway, there's a different guy that used to work for the Windows Mixed Reality team at Microsoft, and he made his own driver, and I believe it's on Steam. It only works on for whatever reason, there's some limitation. It does not work with AMD cards, but if you have or it won't work on Intel cards either. So if you got like a B580 or something like one of my friends Michael has been racing with us today, it won't work with that. But if you have a NVIDIA card, you can use that Oasis driver in lieu of Windows Mixed Reality driver that's been pulled from Windows 10 and 11, I believe, since one of the later patches came out, Windows updates, and pulled it right out of the OS. Just deleted it. And they've been planning that for a year for some reason. So I kind of feel like they got a new headset coming out, and it's not going to use Windows Mixed Reality. It's going to be more like the Pimax and use OpenXR as its pipeline. So I feel like that's the only reason they would do that, is they're trying to get people to sell off their old equipment and buy something new, but they don't have anything new. So it's kind of weird. Not real sure why they did it. But anyway, that guy made the Oasis driver, and I think you can go on Steam and get that. I don't know if there's any cost to it, but it's from the guy from Microsoft that made the original driver, so, or maintained it. So it should be a legit way to get back into it if you got an HP Reaver G2 or G1 or any of the older headsets that were really good, but unfortunately it became defunct because the Windows Mixed Reality was pulled out of Windows 11. Anyway, I won't blather on too long. Appreciate you guys. The thumbs up, likes, and follows. That helps out tremendously with the algorithm. So please keep doing that if you think about it. If you're watching this stream, and we do appreciate it. So hopefully they're going to announce the portal so that we can buy our dedicated server. I plan on, at least initially, probably going to make a dedicated server that's open class so any car can race on it. I'm debating about the F1 car because there's so many F1 drivers that just get in the car to get on the server and pile into people because it's the fastest thing with the most momentum and makes the most spectacular, meme. So I don't know about that car. It's just so fast. But if it's our own server and we have the ability to kick and ban people, then yeah, we can allow it. Yeah, so those of us that want to mess around with it, we can do that. But we'll have to think about that part. But yeah, I'm thinking of all cars and have all the tracks, and hopefully they'll set it up in a way that we can kick ban and also rotate the maps so that after a race it goes to the next track, If it doesn't do that, doesn't have that ability, and there's no third-party utility that can do that, definitely going to be sending them a letter about that, because I think that's a real big miss. Forza's been doing that for years. People can vote on. We should be able to vote on tracks and all kinds of cool, just like a first-person shooter. Vote on the next track, vote on the next map, whatever. Those kind of options. We should have that in a racing game too. But if they don't do that, it may be the case that we have to shut down the server after the race is finished and just fire it right back up manually. We'll give a couple key people the keys to it to fire it back up and change the map. And if I'm not around, and maybe if I'm not around and know nobody's going to be around, I might just set it up on the Nürburgring or something like that. Something you can leave it on until people wake up and want to change it. So anyway, food for thought. But yeah, we're going to have a great community with the dedicated server, and we already have the Discord server. And we're going to do Battlefield 6 is coming out soon. I'm going to do a dedicated server for that. I already have a dedicated server for 30 Bomb, and so that's usually what I do. If there's a game that I'm into, I try to get a dedicated server for my community so that we have a place we can gather and hang out and use the mic and shoot the shit and shit talk and just have a good old time. Anyway, looking forward to seeing you on the track. See you there. GG's, fellas, and have a good night.